Week 10 was the first time I climbed up onto the roof by myself. I went up there to clear the gutters, and I came down thinking about a second story. The weather had shifted again. It was one of those cold, bright winter days where everything feels sharp. The sky was clear, the air was freezing, and the house was still sitting there, soaked in dampness and condensation. Ashley and my mum came down. They were in the garden clearing the overgrowth and tidying things up, while I borrowed a gutter vacuum from my cousin Kieran and headed onto the flat roof. I wasn't just maintaining the house anymore, I was starting to imagine what it could become. Hi everyone, my name's Ian. I'm renovating an old station master's house in the south of Scotland. This is week 10. Vision. Let's go. The flat roof was absolutely covered in moss, leaves, mud and ice. It looked rough, but not catastrophic. That's sort of how the whole house felt at this stage. Old, neglected, tired, but still standing. The gutters were completely packed. Years worth of moss and sludge had built up inside them. I genuinely thought they probably just needed cleaned out. I quickly started realising it wasn't that simple. The joints leaked, the brackets looked rough, and the gutters running along the kitchen roof didn't even seem to fall properly towards the downpipe. Honestly, I'm not convinced it ever had. Water was dripping from the screw holes onto the flat roof below. At this stage, I was still monitoring the house pretty constantly, watching the sarking boards, watching the stone, looking for drips and damp patches every time it rained. The flat roof had standing water sitting in parts of it as well. There was basically no slope, but weirdly, it didn't really feel urgent yet. The felt on the roof was really old, but I didn't think that it was actively leaking. It just felt like one of those future problems, waiting patiently in line. I scraped the moss away section by section and bagged it all up. There was one frozen corner I just couldn't do anything with. Solid ice. On the flat roof, it sits in the shade of the pitched roof on the cottage, so in winter, the side closest to the pitched roof got no direct sun at all. It was pretty slippy up there as well. Not dangerously bad, but enough that I was pretty aware I was up on a roof by myself. There's something peaceful about doing a task like that though. Just slowly working away in the cold air with nobody bothering you. I think that's one of the reasons I've always enjoyed physical work. Your brain just quietens down a little bit. Once the gutters were cleared, I stopped for a bit and just looked around. From the flat roof, you can see quite a lot of Pennycook and then all the way across to the Pentlands. You can also see the old paper mill nearby, this huge red brick industrial building just sitting down the hill. The house felt very exposed from up there. Like I could finally see the scale at what I'd taken on. You could see the chimneys properly, the roof lines, the rough shape of the house hidden underneath all the render and overgrowth. This was one of the first times I'd been on a roof by myself. I imagine that it's hard to stand on the roof of a house and not start dreaming. And honestly, that's exactly what happened. I started thinking about dormers. I thought about a roof terrace and maybe an access dormer. And then I also thought about a second story, standing on the flat roof, looking at the pitched roof on the cottage, knowing that that tiny room was only a couple of meters away. Would it be that hard to build an extension on top of an extension? At this stage, these weren't plans. They were just visions. I had absolutely no real understanding of what any of this would cost. But weirdly, that almost helped. Because if I'd fully understood the scale of what I was imagining, maybe I would have scared myself out of it. The house still smelled damp. Cold air pushed through the gaps in the floors and the walls. There was condensation pretty much every morning. But my head had gone somewhere else now. I wasn't just thinking about fixing the house anymore. I was thinking about what kind of life could exist here. So this week I also met the new architect, Stephen. After the previous experience, I was slightly guarded going into this. I wasn't really looking for validation anymore. I just wanted someone practical who could help me move things forward. Stephen was different straight away. He used to be a brickie before becoming an architect, so he approached things in a much more grounded way. No fluff, no over-explaining, just direct conversation. We walked around the house, chatting through ideas. The conversation drifted between planning permission, roof structures, building warrants, and then randomly plant-based and keto diets and conspiracy theories. Stephen definitely had a different worldview to me in many ways, but honestly, we got on pretty well. What mattered most was that he took me and my ideas and my vision seriously. I still felt slightly insane discussing dormers and second stories while standing inside of a stripped out house with damp walls and no proper heating. But I wasn't going to let the how stop me thinking about the why. Stephen suggested that if I did plan to extend over the back of the house onto the flat roof, why not just take the kitchen roof off and extend over that as well? I liked the idea, but I was pretty hesitant. We also discussed how the local planning department can sometimes think of themselves as designers, that changes might need to be made, and that compromise is just part of the process. This was just to meet Stephen and show him the property so he had an understanding of the project. I hadn't actually made a decision on what I wanted to do yet, and Stephen wasn't there to measure up. All that comes later. But overall, Stephen seemed confident with the ideas that I had and thought that they were workable. That meeting shifted something mentally. The house stopped feeling impossible. Dangerous, maybe, but not impossible. By week 10, the scale of the project in my head had completely changed. Dormers, maybe a second story extension, maybe an access dormer to a roof terrace. I wasn't thinking in months anymore. I was thinking in decades. And honestly, I still wasn't thinking properly about the cost. I had these rough, unrealistic numbers in my head. Maybe 200,000 over 10 years. 20 grand a year almost sounds manageable when you say it quickly enough. And because I planned on doing most of the work myself, part of me genuinely believes I can pull this off somehow. The reality is, I had massive ideas and a very small understanding of what they would actually cost. But I also knew that this house was going to take more from me than what I could comfortably give it. So in my head, why not dream bigger? If I was already risking everything emotionally, financially, physically, then why not aim towards something beautiful? I think a part of me hoped that if I worked hard enough and stayed focused enough, life would eventually meet me halfway. Maybe I'd roll double sixes for a few years. Who knows? At the same time, reality was still very much there. I was still cleaning windows throughout winter, still exhausted, still feeling stretched financially. The house was still freezing cold most days, dark by mid-afternoon, dampness hanging in the air. Relationships weren't stretched, but they were definitely under pressure. Ashley and I were both juggling our own pressures and responsibilities while trying to hold on to this shared dream. All my other relationships, a couple of friends and my family members, I kind of didn't really see them unless they were coming out to the house. I was completely and utterly absorbed. The idea of popping over to my mum's or my dad's for a coffee was, well, that's 2 hours that I could be working or doing something at the house. And underneath all the big ideas, the actual physical work still kept going. Stripping, cleaning, monitoring, planning. I think that's the strange thing about renovation. Your imagination can be somewhere 10 years in the future, while your body is standing in a freezing cold room scooping rubble into bags. By the end of week 10, there was one thing in particular that was starting to annoy me a little bit. The kitchen chimney. If you want to have a warm home, and you're not planning on using the fireplace and chimney, the best thing to do is to remove the whole thing. But this is a structural chimney breast. What's the best course of action? How should this be done? If the kitchen was ever going to become what I imagined, eventually the chimney would have to go completely. And that wasn't a small job. Standing on the roof this week made me think bigger. Standing in the kitchen reminded me just how much work was still ahead. Next week, week 11, the kitchen floor comes up. Hi everyone, just wanted to jump in at the end and say thank you everybody so much for watching. Really appreciate you coming back and engaging with the content. I feel like I'm very much on the cusp of getting some traction. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I get this channel up and off the ground. All the best, and I'll see you in the next one.